We'll see.
Let's try this again.
Yes.
Oh, I think we're audible.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Hello, everybody. It's been crazy. This has been a crazy day. Welcome. I'm psifertex. I'm here with Carl.
Hello.
We've had a busy day.
Yeah. Yeah. But now we're here.
We're here, and we'll find out shortly whether the challenges are here. We've got 4 competitors in the back. The challenges are tested, so I think we're ready to count it in. Let's just do why don't you do a quick introduction of kind of what the format is this year and what teams we have and how this is going to work.
Right, we will talk more about this, but the very short thing is we have head-to-head, 2 players, 1 challenge, first one to solve it wins. 2 matches running in parallel. We will be casting and commentating one of them. If you really want to watch the other one, the live feed from the players is available. And I think that's it for now. We will talk more about it later.
We're going to let the teams go.
We are going to get the teams started, and then we can talk about the challenge and all of that. So I'm just going to look over to production and say that we are ready to go.
Ready? Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Let them go. All right, so they should be going.
Yep, and let's switch over to one of our competitors here.
Full screen terminal already.
Yep. So the way this is going to work, both of the players, they are given a challenge, the same challenge. It is a pwnable challenge of binary exploitation, memory corruption, vulnerabilities and exploits that we're looking at here. The goal of this is to take this program, this binary, find a vulnerability, develop an exploit, test it locally, and then exploit this on a remote server. Once you do that, you will eventually manage to get code execution on this server. And that's then you're basically done. And then to prove that you're done, you will run a command on the server, yeah.
But this year, unlike last year, we're a double elimination tournament. So last time it was as soon as you lost, you were out. But this time you have to lose twice before you're out. So that gives teams a little bit more of a buffer, which is great, but also increases the complexity a fair amount.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch more streams, a bunch more captures. We've got a whole lot that we're trying to juggle here. So we've got the 2 teams that we're going to be looking at here are going to be P1G BuT S4D. And then they're playing against mhackeroni, right? So those are our 2 teams that we're eyeballing. We don't have the overlay text. We're a little bit. We'll get that added as we move forward.
Yes.
But we're currently looking at mhackeroni.
Right. So they are here in IDA, one of the popular reverse engineering platforms, the disassembler, decompiler. You can see the player here looking at the code. Renaming variables because they only get these. They get this decompilation, which is very nice, but you still have no variable names and so on. So they're trying to clean up the code here to be able to understand what's going on.
It's kind of nice. You can see because we've got we're currently in the overlay view. That was very convenient of these 2 teams to choose dark and light themes for us.
Right.
So it's really obvious when we're in. When we're looking at mhackeroni, they're going to be the dark IDA, and when we're looking at P1G BuT S4D, they're going to be over there in the light IDA, and we can flip back and forth and take a look at kind of each one in a little more detail.
So let's switch over to P1G BuT S4D. You can see they're looking at essentially the same piece of code. This is kind of the core functionality of this program. You can see that they are trying to create some structures here, to figure out what is going on. So this challenge...
And I saw that it had a name, so that function name was called interpreter, right? So do we have symbols in these binaries, or did they already name that?
Let's see, I think
this one does have
symbols.
Maybe there's symbols?
Yeah, this varies from... no, I'm looking over here. No, yes, we do have symbols in this one. So we have function names to help them out a little bit, because we want... So these challenges... We want to make these challenges, easy enough that we can do this kind of high-speed format here. So that's sometimes we do give them some, things to grab onto, like the function names and so on.
Yeah.
Sometimes we decide to strip them out if that makes more sense in the context of the challenge.
Yeah, but these are, so these matches that we've got, normally we're scheduled for about an hour each match. And if things go to plan, we want them to be solved in like 40 minutes, right? The goal is that actually 40 minutes after the challenge starts, they should be at that point already done, because we do go to a sudden death. So if it's taken them more than 50, we're going to go to a sudden death mode, and at that point, we're giving them a new challenge that is like as simple as it can be. It's meant to be very, very basic, and that's a truly painful race at that point.
Yep, and we can see here on the P1G BuT S4D reversing that they are still working on. You can see there they named one of the fields of the structure PC, typically for a program counter.
And we did tell them the category in advance, right? So we try to tell teams the architecture, whether it's a reversing challenge, a pwnable challenge, a little bit of information about it, primarily because we want them to send their best person. Different teammates will have different skills, and so, for example, one of the organizers came up and said, well, you've listed us for a challenge that says Linux pwn, but is it Linux kernel or Linux userland?
Right.
And they wanted to, because they're like, it's a different guy we'd send for each one of those. And so we do try to give them a little information. And for this particular challenge, which by the way, anyone can see, so if you go to the challenge.net, or is it .com? No, challenge.com.
We should have on LiveCTF.com, we have the bracket there.
We have the full bracket there, you can see it. But if you actually go to the raw challenge page as well, there's details for every one of those matches, and so it not only links to the streams where you can see it. So again, these are just the two of the players we've got, and we've also got Hypeboy and TWN playing at the same time on the same challenge, and it's entirely possible that the fastest solve actually comes on one of those feeds. So
right, and I want to switch over here to mhackeroni, because they are writing part of their exploit script here, which I think is really cool. So they are writing this in Python using pwn tools. And you can see that at the top of their script there, you can see that they had written out a couple of functions. So they have small, like, you could always call them like macros, or
helpers,
like, helper functions with short names that you can quickly just plug in there. They are, you can see that they're building up a kind of payload here where they're using the cyclic function in pwn tools, which is a very handy tool where let's say you have some kind of overflow and you gain control of some value that you're in, like for example the return address or some register or so on, but you're unsure exactly which part of your payload ends up in that location. You can use this cyclic function to generate a pattern, send it, look in the debugger, and then immediately deduce.
Those 4 bytes or 8 bytes are going to be exactly a unique offset into that buffer.
Right. So
there's like De Bruijn sequence generator.
Exactly.
The other name for you. Sometimes we'll hear that.
Exactly. So instead of trying to like calculate this by looking at the various offsets and like figuring out how much of the stack will be popped and so on, you just like dump this in, look in the debugger, and then you like calculate backwards to get the index.
This was not a common technique when I started, so I remember putting just a bunch of A's and then B's and trying to like binary search it just to try to figure out where it was.
And this is like the sophisticated version of that.
It's also much faster too, which is good for LiveCTF.
Yeah. So they this leads me to believe that they have kind of found a vulnerability, but they're now kind of exploring it to see exactly how and what they control, which is like good progress there.
We have seen people too, though, in the past. Sometimes they start their pwn script immediately, even as they're just exploring the service, interacting with it, or they want to use it to generate things in a debugger just to kind of see what the behavior is. But yeah, usually you would think that they've got the exploit there. They may or may not. We are seeing in P1G BuT S4D, they've now also switched over a little bit to debugger. Let's went back to
right.
IDA.
Let's go over to their screen.
There we go. Yeah.
Some exploit here. Also using Python with pwn tools. Also some helper functions.
Helper, like the same.
Scripts. Maybe. I wonder if this like people now they're slightly different, but it's similar
very,
content.
Very similar.
Yeah. So also running some debugger. I did not see quite what they were sending in. I think maybe they're just also exploring
there was a breakpoint on OX Dead Beef. So I don't know if they're, okay, they just commented that one out.
Okay,
That
they're
was
just
like
setting
leftover
up,
maybe.
yeah, maybe just setting up their
I was like, if they already have control of VIP.
No. I think it's they're just setting up the GDB scripting and then making sure that they have their stuff in order. So I mean, this is a very nice. Pwn Tools has a lot of nice features like this, where you can start your program, attach a debugger, run the GDB script, for example, set up some breakpoints, like all of these things to help you do this like iterative process of developing the exploit. So minimize the number of like manual commands you have to type in each time you test your exploits.
So I don't think, did the teams, we gave them the binary name, correct, when they downloaded this? Or did we just call it something generic?
No, they do get, so the archive that they download is called Push Pop Automaton, which is the name of this challenge. And it's a stack-based virtual machine, which has a...
I bet it has a push and a pop from the name.
Very few operations, including a push and a pop, so you can like grow and shrink this stack structure, which, if one would just take a guess at what like the vulnerability could be, maybe this pushing and popping, it does not properly respect the bounds of this.
A CTF challenge that doesn't have bounds checking? That's shocking. Shocking, I tell you.
So we can see here some, on the mhackeroni's side, they're looking in the debugger. We see that they're dumping some memory, trying to figure out exactly what things are in the memory at a certain point in time. I'm not sure what this point in time is, but yeah, it's hard to tell exactly how far their progress is right now. Like the exploit script was still pretty bare bones.
Now, is this one that you've play tested? I know that this was a challenge Glenn wrote.
Yep.
But this was one you've solved before, so you've at least got a solution. Although, as is the case for us in a lot of our challenges, we don't know if we'll see the same solution. Because there may very well be multiple ways to solve it.
Yep. I did solve it. It was probably one of the first ones I did in our whole development process. So it was a couple of weeks ago. So it might have...
Memories fuzzy. We've done a few challenges since then.
But it is, so it is pretty straightforward, but you also have the added, stress of this format, the LiveCTF format, with... it's this one-on-one, you have no help from your teammates.
The time pressure alone, just knowing that there's one person you're racing and that the first to solve it is like, the victor with all the point benefit it's stressful, it really is.
Yeah, and we are running a double elimination this year, right? So, you're not out immediately, but it's still like, this is one of your two chances, right?
And so let's talk about the points and the scoring and how this kind of factors into the overall DEF CON CTF, right? So that we are in the middle of DEF CON here in Las Vegas, and there's 12 teams here at the final event. Each of the 12 teams sends an individual for a round of LiveCTF, and those individuals don't have to be the same. So if they play multiple rounds, they could actually choose to send a different person. That's again also why we tell them the category, so they know who they can send.
I want to just bring attention here to P1G BuT S4D. You can see that there were a bunch of memory leaking out there on their screen that we have up. You can see here the memory dump in Pwn Tools. So they're doing some kind of leak here. This is a good step.
That would be step one of this exploit. Almost certainly would be some kind of leak. Any modern binary, you've got to have a leak kind of built into it with ASLR.
Yes. So if I remember correctly, basically you use the pop feature to read memory. And you go a bit further than you were supposed to, and then you use the push feature to modify those things.
So that gives you both a read and a write primitive kind of on the stack.
Yeah, and then there are a couple of things you need to keep in mind, because since you're going like backwards and forwards, you need to like keep track of the order, like because you're writing things in the opposite order of what you were reading them. So there are like things to details to keep in mind there.
And that's the kind of stuff I think is the hardest when there's the time pressure, right? It's the kind of thing where like if you were casually doing it, you wouldn't even it'd be fine, but like when you're in a hurry, it's easy to miss that little
and then
stuff.
like off by one things like the push thing, like does it write first and then increment the pointer, or like is the pointer pointing to the current empty slot or the current like the top of the stack? And it's like you can easily get like an off by one issue there.
I think both teams did exactly the right thing though, because debugging will help you answer a lot of those questions, right? You want to have your script. You want to there are people that I know who like can one-shot this and they just model it in their head and then they solve it and they write it and they're done, and they're fun to watch. But certainly I would be using a debugger as well.
Yeah, I want to go over to Macaroni again and bring attention here. You can see that they're writing this leak equals, and then they are,
So they've already got a leak, and now we're gonna.
So they're just, and then doing the debug printing here to validate. We can see if this works. Yeah, you can see that they printed out an address.
Doesn't look like code address though. I'm not sure what they're trying to leak.
It seems like it's off. Like the 55 is usually like a good. Oh, that one though looks like you can see this 7F thing. Yeah. Looks very much like a library address, right?
Library range.
Yeah.
Well, I bet they're gonna probably mask this. Let's see what they do.
Let's check, and they're checking. Yeah, so they're copying the leak over, or they were copying the leak over. Let's see. They have a leak.
Copy it.
Are they gonna check in like via map or? So they're checking. This is in. Yeah. So they got the. Okay.
Yeah.
So there was an in the offset, and you can see they use this feature in GDB to take this address, and this is an absolute address, but the GDB plugins convert this into an offset within the library. So now they can then bring this back into their exploit script, and you can see that they subtract this offset from the leak to get the base address of libc, bring this back into the script, and now they can easily calculate any addresses within libc that they are
look for one gadget or whatever other function pointers they want to call.
Although this is complete overkill for this challenge because you have a win function, but
I don't know if we saw anyone look at the win function there.
So I saw that the function list was open, and you can see you saw it there very briefly. Yeah.
And especially because we gave them the symbols, right? Because they've got the symbols on function names.
But this is so easy to miss because this is maybe not a super common thing to have in modern challenges. Like we've kind of evolved past that in the CTF community, in the CTF challenges. Yeah. But since we want this to be very fast, very compared to a lot of pwnable challenges, easy to solve. I'm not saying it's easy. It's easier. And that's why we put this in.
Don't feel bad. It's certainly I wouldn't be able to solve this in an hour or as fast as these teams were. So don't feel bad if you're doing this and thinking, wow, like you call this easy, but it took me several hours. Like this is just relatively speaking to sort of the state of the art in pwnable challenges now.
Yeah.
So it is a little more unusual. And I would have expected to see. Although actually they would need a leak to the program itself, right? So
right. So this is a different approach. Maybe it's
It may have been the first pointer they grabbed was a libc, and good enough they can get system out of that.
Right. So I want to bring back attention here now to P1G BuT S4D. You can see a little bit more of their exploit script there. You have some. They're reading until they can see these specific bytes. So they're also looking at some leak here. You can see some memory dump. Trying to orient myself here on what they're doing.
It is interesting though that they're building their GDB into their same script as well, as opposed to we saw earlier in Hackeroni had a separate session that they were debugging it with. So are they getting back a pointer? Are they?
Here we can see that. There's a bunch of memory being dumped out. Yeah, they looked like environment variables.
Yeah, environment from stack. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right on the stack prior to your your main.
Let's leave them there for a moment and go back to Macaroni, because I think there's some pretty good stuff coming up here. I saw that you can see that they're trying to put together a ROP chain. But you see, this is, it's a little bit difficult to follow now because they're jumping very quickly back and forth between the exploit script and the debugger. They're making small changes, trying it, doing like very quick iterations. You can see them like fiddling with like some offsets here and there, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. These things are very
fiddly.
Easy. And can be so frustrating because like you feel like you should have this, like I know what's going on, and that something is like not adding up, like you forget some detail, extremely frustrating sometimes.
And it looks like they're actually changing they had a libc leak clearly earlier, but now they've gone back and they're changing it again. Did the environment change? Did something change, or why? I'm wondering what they're doing that's causing them to undo the progress they felt like they made earlier. And I'll keep an eye out. I don't see P1G BuT S4D having successfully gotten. Oh, they do think they have a leak now. Let's see. They're.
Yeah. Well, let's switch over to them and.
I think they might have. Yeah. So it looks like they're dumping. So we've now dumped some.
Right, and there they're also calculating. You can see they didn't use as fancy features there, but you can see that they're calculating an offset by subtracting those two absolute addresses there in the exploit script, those 7F addresses. This will give them, so you see they take the values in the specific instance, take the difference, get the offset, and then use that to calculate the base there.
Slightly longer version of the same thing that we saw in Mhackeroni do with that little, we just copy and paste with the GB command.
It's right. So they're back in the disassembler. I think this is interesting because we had quite a period here of them like mostly looking at the exploit script and the debugger.
Yeah.
And now they're coming back into the disassembler, maybe double checking some. Maybe they were just looking at the size of this buffer or the stack thing.
Yeah, it looks like their structure offset they were using to determine. Oh, we had. By the way, a solve on our other stream.
Oh my God!
Go check out our other stream. Congratulations to Hype Boy.
Yeah, so really great job. Hyperboy they win their first LiveCTF match here. So as I said, we are running 2 matches in parallel. We are casting one of them, but then there's another match going on in the background, and that match just finished with Hype Boy winning against. Which team was the other one?
Hype Boy was playing in this match, TWN48.
Right, so TWN48 against Hype Boy, and Hype Boy did win that match.
I can't wait to go watch the VOD on that one, because that was a blazing fast. I'm just knowing like the progress that they must have like quickly known what to do.
Yep.
And then landed that.
Really
so
cool.
Good for them.
Really cool to see. But we are still going strong here in this match.
A little bit of a sigh of relief as an organizer for your full solve coming through, because I mean, it's solvable, you're pretty sure, but just to see somebody do it, that's a good feeling.
And oh my God, the issues we've had today.
Today was cursed.
Everything that conceivably could broke, and a few more things.
So we had multiple hardware failures on laptops. So the machine that we're streaming to you on now died. The machine that's running the game infrastructure died. We're on like secondary machines for all of that. We had our mixer board, as we came on the stream just at the very beginning, isn't connecting for some reason. On the new machine we swapped out, and so we switched to audio inputs. It's been a lot of craziness, but high five for our first.
Really nice to see, and I mean we will also be talking a bit more throughout these days. We will talking a little bit about the production, the behind the scenes and stuff, but. We will come back to that. We can talk a little bit more about.
For now, we want to get back on schedule and get teams going.
Right. So let's check out Mhackeroni again. You can see here. It feels like they're trying to. It looks like some indices and values. They're like trying to figure out some kind of offset, maybe. You could see like there was a big list of like various offsets, and I guess it was the corresponding value or something. And I think they're trying to. Again, fiddle around a little bit with the exact offsets of these exploits, or
I don't feel either team is necessarily stuck, but I also don't feel like they're confidently going to the next step yet either. They're still, I think, tweaking and trying to figure out.
But it's like, you can see here, like you have the ROP chain with the system call. with the shell. Like they have
The pieces are all
there, and now they're just trying to debug their exploit script and trying to find like where is this not doing what they think it should do.
It actually reminds me of the first match we had last year in the finals, which you can go watch on YouTube or on LiveCTF.com, check out the archives, because it was the same kind of thing, tweaking and fiddling with, and then the team we weren't watching snuck in and actually solved it just off screen, because it's hard to know. Like if for one of them to suddenly they figured out exactly, it could go down in just a few seconds. But I do still see a lot over here on P1G BuT SAD. Oops, wrong one. If we bring up P1G BuT SAD, that one there.
Yeah.
We can go ahead. They really haven't. They hop back out of IDA, but they've been here for a lot. They're really still looking at their offsets. I think this to me still feels like in their head they're still working out what they want to do. They don't have exactly the sizes figured out. They don't have a goal necessarily figured out. Because I think if you understand what the virtual machine is doing at this point, there shouldn't be a whole lot you would need to look at. Even if things like offsets, for example, dynamically just pulling that out of your running session seems like it might have been a little easier.
Yeah. And they are, they're looking at the interpreter code. I mean, this is the time where you really wish you could like read the minds of the players.
Yeah, get in their head.
Yeah.
Pause and interrupt them. Excuse me, what are you thinking?
Yeah. Because it's they are clearly staring at this code, and there's something they're trying to like wrap their head around. You're just not exactly sure what it is, right?
Let's see if mhackeroni has got more momentum now, or if they're still stuck with their leak being a little bit. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the same offset value dump. So they're just dumping out a bunch of stack values essentially.
Right. Trying
maybe
to
looking
figure
for something
out,
else.
You can see that they're looking at these like 7F value. They're probably interested in that one. Looking at the corresponding offset. You can see here the AAC offset, copying this, yes. And it looks like they already had that there. So it's like, maybe they wonder like, why is this not doing the thing?
And are they going the wrong direction, like up or down? You got to remember like which the stack goes one way, but the bytes go the other way, and that can be tricky.
Right. And then
this challenge definitely gives you all the tools though that you need to solve it. It's just a matter of like wiring them up the right way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't even send in 8 bytes on that unpack.
Right. Adding an interactive call, which is a nice feature in Pwn tools, where like you can do some automation and then like take over with manual.
Which works really well on a service like this, where it's a sort of text-based interactive thing, and so maybe they want to just try to like leak a few more things or change what they're doing on the fly.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to like read, the different things. Basically, it seems like they are using the payload to leak an address, use this address to calculate a base address. From this, they can construct a ROP chain, and then they are inserting this ROP chain.
I do think we're coming up on first hint time as well, so we should talk about. Why don't you talk about how that process works?
Right. So.
So they did get the hint. Do they know to check the page? Why don't we go run over there and remind them about the hint schedule?
So
I don't think we've told them the hint schedule, so someone should go tell them.
Right. So the way we do this is after 20 minutes of game time, we release a hint
on the same web page they downloaded the challenge on.
And then after another 15 minutes, we release a second hint, which I honestly, for this challenge, I don't think the hint
is going to help them.
Yeah. I don't think it's helpful, because I think they've already figured that part out.
Right.
I think they're now just fiddling around with like the offsets and those parts.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've seen that in the past. That some of the challenges, did we lose? Oh no, we're still going. I've seen in the past in some challenges, the hints aren't really going to help you. You understand, you've got all the right tools in the tool shop, but you're still having trouble building the chair. You've still got to like kind of put it together. So
right. And here's interesting. We can see mhackeroni adding a like a ret sled to their ROP chain.
Yeah,
so if you're familiar with like old school shell coding, you sometimes could add like a NOP sled to like, if you didn't know exactly where your code was located, you would jump into this kind of long sequence of NOP instructions that would like then slide you all the way.
Where you hit, they would all hit NOP, and you would just go to the very end. Yeah.
Instead of trying to find the exact offset. And a ret sled is like kind of the equivalent thing, but for a ROP chain, where if you don't know exactly how your ROP chain is going to be offset on the stack, you just have a sequence of ret instructions that just progresses the ROP chain further without making any state changes.
Yeah, or specifically a pointer to a return instruction from something you know at a fixed location, and all those pointers are in a row, so that no matter where you hit in a return, you'll just keep returning until you get to your next gadget that you want.
Yep. Let's go back to P1G BuT S4D. We can see that they are, feels like they're still messing around with like the initial payload, kind of this program that you're submitting to the automaton, to the VM. It's maybe they're trying around a little bit with how long the various sequences of push and pop instructions need to be for this to all work the way they have, they expect it.
Now I do see, let's talk, there's U, O, and H. We saw those, and they've even labeled the O as output, so presumably this is going to be, these are like text instructions that we're sending into the virtual machine, and that's going to be what does our pushing or popping?
Yeah, so each, you send a sequence of commands, each of them is like one character, and then followed potentially by some input or outputs that you get back. So we can actually see here.
There we go, they just refreshed for the hints.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep
and they saw the
popping
hit.
It was too quick, it was keep popping something.
Right, it was keep popping beyond the bounds or something, which, as I said, like they figured that out a long time ago.
Right.
So, yeah, not very helpful in this case, which is like, good and bad, like, because it means that, they have had some progress, and they have another 25, 30 minutes basically then. Or
total time, I think, yeah, we have still another.
Right.
Well, we got, until the sudden death, we have to go back and look, I'm trying to remember the exact start time, so hopefully somebody wrote that down.
Yeah. So, yes.
Because we definitely got started late, and the being late was definitely our fault and not theirs. They were all here on time. That was just us, as you heard or saw us, fixing our microphones and fixing all sorts of fun stuff.
It was a mess, but we're here.
It's working. So far it's working. And we already got one solve, and hopefully we'll see another one soon.
Yep. And P1G BuT S4D still messing around with like the payload structure here. They're padding out their with these O instructions to a fixed size payload. I saw something interesting there. I want to go back to mhackeroni. They were doing some more leaking there. I think I saw some sequence of bytes popping out. Could have been interesting. Like they, let's see. They go back here to they changed the size of the code that they're sending, or the length of these
total payload we're sending.
And then it seems like they kind of they subtracted 8 in one place, and maybe they're compensating down here as well. I don't know exactly what these various offsets are, but
it's so weird because we saw that libc leak real early on, and then I feel like we have kind of gotten stalled. We haven't really made it anything past that.
So it's I'm really like rooting for these teams to succeed with these things. I know how like frustrating it can be when you are trying to solve one of these challenges.
Well, and when we were testing this, we don't have the time pressure too, right? So like we definitely had it easier, that we could put it down and walk away, get some fresh ideas, come back later and think, oh, I bet I was messing up that, go sleep on it or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, I was solving the challenge on one screen and like watching some Twitch stream on the other screen. And I mean, obviously that, I didn't solve it in 45 minutes then. Like,
for sure. Or even the 25 or whatever, the 20 that it was.
No. I mean,
from Hype Boy, that was great.
Really, really impressive work there. I think the kind of benchmark we had throughout the development process was that like, if we can solve it within like 2 hours in like a relaxed setting, then
one, these players are all better than us.
Yes.
Every one of them are better than every
Yes.
one of us, I think, is
Yes.
probably fairly safe to say.
Yeah.
And then two, again, we weren't kind of in a hurry, we were taking our time,
Yeah.
and then not feeling a rush. Although it works conversely too, the opposite also works. The fact that we were not time pressured sometimes means that we had less stress in doing it, so.
Yeah. I'm going to switch over again here to Pig But Sad, and
It does crack me every time I see a bunch of like, ooh,
Yeah.
like in the output. Like,
yeah.
so how do you pronounce that exactly?
Yeah, they're again like messing with the various sizes of the parts of the payloads. Yeah, looking, you can see there, that's the address of the when they call the
return
interpreter. So
instruction,
it's setting
yeah.
a breakpoint when going into the interpreter to investigate exactly what's going on there. Yeah, it's still. I mean, if I were to bet at this point, I'm a little bit with mhackeroni.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly had progress early on. I don't think we've yet to see a successful like libc leak out of Pig But Sad, unfortunately, yet.
Yeah.
Although it could have happened and we just missed it too. That happens a lot as well. It's
Right.
hard to track
Right.
everything.
But with the nature of these challenges is that if one team gets stuck, the other one can definitely catch up and cruise through and steal the win. So
It is still anyone's game for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
Like
for sure.
just getting progress here from either one. Yeah, and this definitely lends itself to, I feel like, a more dynamic approach. This type of challenge, where you've got this primitives that you can just poke at and see what they do.
Yeah.
See what you get on the stack. See what you get, and just try a write, and then go look at the stack after you've done your write, or try
Right.
to.
So I remember, I think what I did was like, I read the code and got like a rough sense of it. Like you get that the size of the buffer is
Right.
like hex 800 or something. It's like, so I started out with that as like a base thing, did something, and then looked in the debugger and then made adjustments. It's very similar to what I feel like the players are doing here. But yeah, it's gonna be.
So that was interesting. We saw that. Times 100 makes sense if we're pushing or popping 8 bytes at a time, right? If it's an 8 byte stack. But we had 3 U's in a row times 100. So I'm not sure if that was just do more just to.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Like 3 seems like a bit of an odd
Right.
number.
3 times hex 100.
Yeah, like if it was 2 or 4, maybe, but yeah. I don't know about that one. It's
You can tell though teams are a little bit ready for LiveCTF though. We saw them come in with like this starter shell scripts with their alias macros or whatever. We've got 2 people very familiar with pwn tools and with even the interactor. Now, is the interactor prompt, is that Jeff or?
no, that's Phone Tools.
Phone Tools
Yeah.
has its own kind of interactive GDB session that has all the same kind of context.
Oh no, the
things.
interactive is just
Well, no. So I know the Phone Tools interactive, but on the right side, for example, on Mhackeroni now, where they're looking at the debugging session, right?
Right.
If
So
I can see all the context.
here you can see that they're running Pwn debug, right? So which adds all of these like nice colorings and extra plugins and stuff to GDB. So I think there are, I would say currently, 2 big GDB kind of add-ons for exploit development. Is Pwn debug being one of them, and then GEF being the other one. Both with their pros and cons, and popular in the CTF community. So they have a bunch of modules adding these like trying to interpret addresses. So you can see these like various pointers with different colors, like whether it's in the text segment or the stack and so on.
Yeah, it definitely makes it easier to read when you can see those highlights, as well as even just seeing the registers in the stack, as opposed to the default GDB interface, which is empty. There's
No,
nothing.
you will see these like stack printouts where it will also like
Annotate
dereference the
them,
pointer. Like
yeah.
it will say like this is a pointer to the heap, and it's pointing to this value and things like this. And so it can even do that like multiple times. Like this is a pointer to the heap, pointing to another pointer to the heap, and so on, which can be very helpful in these situations when you're trying to.
So I've been watching P1G BuT S4D, and it looks like they've changed their leak. So now they're trying to offset in. They've changed that hard-coded hex 100 to a hex 80, and they're using 80 U's then to look at the dumping. Okay, so now we've got a whole bunch of. Is that 5.7 or 7.5s on the stack? Oh, these are probably ASCII U's. So probably seeing their own payload on the stack, I think. So if you look at whatever hex 75 is, lowercase u, so you can see it right there. So that is indeed them reaching their own buffer.
Yep.
And there are definitely like the sort of like finding your own buffer in the memory is oftentimes a component of an exploit, right? Where you've got to like maybe you want to remove the null pointer from your thing so it can go further, or you want to write maybe you want to write bytes into your buffer that weren't writable in the original input, but you could do it with a virtual machine, or maybe you want to write some other metadata around your buffer. There's a lot of things you could do by sort of finding that data. I think we're so used to like get code execution,
right?
But ultimately the goal is like there could be other steps along the way.
And I want to switch back over to mhackeroni here. We can see if they do it again, because I saw one thing they did like down there. You can see the rob chain, and they have also like some A's appended to the rob chain. And I saw that they were looking for that in the debugger. Like they pre-pended it as well with some A's and ran it in the debugger, and they showed up. Well, let's see if this happens again, or if they were done with that particular step of their analysis. But I think it can be pretty nice an educational moment. You can see here they're changing around the offsets again. I think they maybe got something out from the thing that I just described, where they pre-pended it, they saw like the offset, and now they're making adjustments. So let's see here if we can see this. Okay, they quit out immediately. Okay, they forgot they had this dumper section, right? And they have, this can also be like, thing where you start messing around with your exploit script. You put in various scaffolding and then you remove it, or you forget to remove it.
Sometimes you get worse off before you realize that you've actually left something in that you've got to go back and fix up. I definitely did that several times when playtesting my challenge.
Well, so again, adjusting.
I think we're actually past second hint time as well. Although again, I don't know if I don't think there's anything we can tell them that they don't know yet with this binary in terms of how it works. It's really just a question of who's going to actually get the mechanics, iron out all the kinks, and I would be much more worried if we hadn't seen one solve already. But we getting that one solve in is reassuring as an author. It is doable. We know it got done, but let's see if we end up needing a sudden death challenge for this one or not. So I think they're going back to remind the team, so we might see them pull up that hit page again. They're going to let them know that that you have gone past that 35-minute timer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I really want to see the teams succeed.
Oh, we all do. Yeah.
And we also would prefer to not have to use one of our sudden death challenges. Let's say we have not prepared the challenges enough for sudden deaths for every match.
No, but we also have done horribly wrong if we have to use it.
Oh, I just saw a very interesting thing. You can see that they're changing their thing here. They're changing the whole thing. They found the win function, and they were getting rid of like the libc stuff.
Oh, no.
They were leaking the program base. They're changing it, and now let's see if they actually manage to do it.
I think P1G BuT S4D is going to be very sad if they just missed the win function, and that's the difference here.
Yeah, let's see here. They are still having some kind of they forgot to rename the variable in one place.
Is that a shell?
No, it's a breakpoint in the GDB. So we'll see here. It could be so close. Like, but they're making it's the stress. Like that causes these like tiny mistakes, it's frustrating. but it feel like, you know, I can almost see the stress in the way the cursor moves.
It's more jittery now.
Yeah,
because they're thinking in their head, my opponent's like seconds ahead of me.
Right.
You know.
And especially like, you know, once you find something that's, you know,
that makes it easier.
Yeah.
It really is like, oh no, I missed
like,
this.
Yeah,
and
like how did I, like, you know, obviously the other team, they know about this.
And yet, every indication is they do not. We've yet to see P1G BuT S4D hone in on that.
But they don't know that. So.
Ironically, given that they've spent the most time in IDA, I think, looking at it, they were really looking around that main loop and around the interpreter loop. So we haven't seen them.
Yeah, you can see now they're just extending their ROP chain, like spamming the win function, adding like ret instructions. Just trying to get this to work. Like this is, yeah, I feel, oh, they have the shell, there's the shell. There's a shell for mhackeroni.
Submitter 8.
So now they're just, they need to connect to the,
they're going to throw it remotely. So that was a local one.
So now let's see if they
is
have.
This is looking like it.
Copy pasting the address, they're doing remote. They have a shell. They do. Submitter. And then, yep, that's a win.
it. Congratulations to mhackeroni.
Yeah. Great job. Very nice mhackeroni. Yeah, let's.
If I can pull up the right, sheet. There we go.
So that was our first round of matches here at the LiveCTF from the DEF CON CTF finals. Yeah, I think maybe we didn't mention this. So LiveCTF is part of the DEF CON CTF, where you have 12 of the best CTF teams across the world playing in like a big attack defense competition against each other. And as like a sub-event within this, they play this LiveCTF like a one-on-one competition where the results from this will then give them points that feed into the main event.
So the total points they're going to get are going to range from about 1,337, yes, the elite point range for first place, all the way down to 500 points for the last place team. So every team who participates gets points. That way nobody can skip out and not send somebody to try to play. We wanted, I'm glad Nautilus Institute, who are the organizers of the main CTF, encourage teams to participate by. There is a participation award for even doing this, because it is brave, it is stressful to get up and be willing to let people talk about what you're doing. So yeah, we're glad that they did that. We're going to go ahead and get set up for the next match, which is going to be coming shortly.
Yep. Yeah, because like since we are a little bit behind the schedule, we will get this going as soon as possible. We'll bring up some like intermission slides, yeah, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
As soon as we get ready. Take care.
See ya. Whew.